So many things are changing throughout college football.
Get ready for the 3-point stance. 3 different minds, 3 different opinions. 3 dudes talking ball. It's Kenton. It's Jay. It's Zach. Time to bring the heat, boys.
Yes, it's the 3-point stance. Zach Blackerby, Jay Smith, Kenton Gibbs. We're going to talk about how much pressure is on Lane Kiffin. Could this be his biggest game of his Ole Miss tenure against LSU? Also, it's the Red River Rivalry. We'll jump into that. But look, there are so many things that are either proposed changes or pending definite upcoming changes, starting with NLI. It's been going on since the 60s. That's how you officially sign and join your school when you're a recruit. But they're changing this. Some of this seems a little bit like semantics, Jay, but there are some big changes coming to the NIL portion of how student athletes enroll in their school.
Yeah, it appears that the goal here is to eliminate just having that little signature on the paper that was cute that you still faxed in. If I'm correct, they still fax them in today, which is even more fascinating. It's like, why are we doing this? Why don't we just email this? Can we do DocuSign? Let's go ahead and get to the modern times. But it's more of a ceremonial thing. And that piece is going to be gone to do, scholarship agreements and financial aid contracts. What does that change? As you said, it's all semantics here. It's not going to change any of the landscape, especially when it comes to transfers and all of that. Now, there's supposed to be adjustments to go to that, but what makes you think that's going to... We've had players transferring for years. Now they're eligible immediately, but in the past, they would sit for a year and transfer. So these things have always been in place that we've been trying to quote-unquote prevent. Yeah. I don't know if this really does much for the game or if it even helps college football, eliminating this ceremonial piece just to say, oh, you're going to sign this contract that you're probably going to break when you decide to transfer out.
Yeah. Kenton, I know the changes are kind of assuming that rev share is going to be part of this moving forward. I mean, I guess it makes sense to change it to adapt to the rev share. The timing's a little odd because not all the rev share stuff is finalized, but I mean, that's obviously a big change, but I don't know. I just never really mentally paired the rev share stuff with the NIL or the NLI, portion of them enrolling into their school.
Well, we need to listen to Bob Dylan right now because the times, they are a-changing. If we pay attention to what this is not just a change for NIL. The NLI being removed is a big difference. And let's make the distinction for our listeners real quick. Your national letter of intent and your name, image, and likeness payouts are 2 separate things. What the national letter of intent being removed clears the way for, as Jay alluded to, is contractual agreements, which we all want to see, because with contractual agreements, you have a contractual obligation from both sides. Everybody keeps saying, well, we don't want this to be pay for play. We don't want this to be pay for play. Who is we? My second language is Spanish. Donde está la biblioteca? What are we doing here? Ain't no we in that. I want it to be pay for play. I want these players to get paid for their efforts because I am somebody who walked away from the game after giving up 3 attendance for the wonderful North Carolina State University. And I believe that players should be compensated and shouldn't have to get to the other side of the NFL in order to do that, because nobody on this side of college football, nobody is an amateur. Zach, last time I checked, you're a professional. Locked On doesn't pay you with college credits, right?
That's true.
Jay, does Locked On pay you with meal swipes? Are you getting Oklahoma Dash bucks or something like that?
I mean, on occasion, I get that occasional, experience thing. Isn't that what they call it nowadays? You get experience?
Okay. Exposure. Yeah.
Experience. And you know what I can't do? I can't go down to the bank and say, hey, my mortgage needs to be paid with experience bucks. Hey, landlord, my rent needs to be paid with opportunity cash. I have to pay it with cold hard cash, like these players have to take care of things in their lives. And I know some people struggle with the idea that why is an 18 to 22-year-old having to take care of things in their family? As somebody who's been the man in my house since I was 10 years old, everybody don't have the same situation. So when these young men are putting their bodies on the line, when Kirk Herbstreit is a professional, when Dabo Swinney's a professional, when Dave Doran's a professional, when Hugh Freeze, although he should not be considered, is a professional.
Come on.
We are all professionals. Let it whip. Let everybody get paid. No offense to Auburn fans, of course.
Whatever, Ken. Whatever. Y'all always got to find a way to slip in a dig at Auburn, and that's fine. That's fine. Other things that could be changing. This one's going to be farther off into the sunset. We'll see. But Project Rudy, this group is backed by big money. But it sounds like this is the I guess proposal, an idea of this realignment of the future of college football that a lot of these conferences, specifically the SEC and the Big Ten and Notre Dame, are listening to more than they have other proposals. And the gist of it is going to be a 70-team league. There's no specifics on who those 70 teams would be, but essentially creating this super league that is kind of a larger version of the NFL and bringing them all together under one media rights agreement. And so they can kind of all band together and go after, the biggest dollar sign out there. I mean, this seems to have some legs here, Jay.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the 72 one with the Power 12 conferences. It kept things regionalized. It was a 13-game schedule where you had 5 in your division, and then the rest was spread out. And it was based upon similar to the NFL model, letting the best teams play each other on a regular basis. I was all for that. I like the idea of college football remaining more so regional, because if you really think about it, as a college student, if you want to travel to a road game, it's kind of hard to go from Cal to Miami unless you're rich, right? Your traditional college student is broke. I was broke in college. We would take road trip places, and man, the struggle bus on that was so much fun, and it also provided an experience for you. That's the thing that I'm missing here in college football. Now, granted, luckily with the SEC, the way things are done, everybody's still in the South, and they can still, for the most part, drive to a lot of these places. But the way the rest of this college realignment is going, not so good. Now, Project Rudy is fascinating.
Yeah.
The only thing I hate about it, private equity is involved. And when private equity is involved, you know what that means. We're going to cut corners for the name of profits. And the last thing these young players need are corners cut in the name of profits.
Well,
yeah, Ken, go ahead.
I think that there's a clear delineation between what we see in regular private equity situations and what we see here. This committee, or the group that has put this together, one of the foremost thinkers of that group is Jack Swarbrick. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry, Notre Dame fans, don't jump me. I know y'all like to get a little feisty. I'm not coming outside. I know y'all gonna jump me. But anyway, with that being said, he is somebody who cares deeply about college football. And my biggest gripe with private equity, because I'm right there with you, right? Anybody who knows me know Cheddar Bay Biscuit hate to see me coming. My family love Red Lobster. We thought that was fine dining growing up. So when private equity got involved in that, it was a very downhill situation very quickly. But I think the difference is there was nobody in the room who had a vested interest in Red Lobster's success separate from the financial benefit of Red Herring Financial, or whatever the case may be. I don't know the actual name of the financial groups that was passed between. But in this case, you have people who have a vested interest to say, hey, listen, we may make this this is the Duke's Mayo Classic sponsored by Disney, or whatever the case may be. But that's all. We'll take a couple naming rights here and there. You got to wear a little silly patch on your jersey saying that you're part of the the Project Rudy conferences or whatever. But to me, I don't mind the private equity being there so long as we have people in the room that are like, you know what? Let's be honest. Yes, this should turn a profit, but also this is kind of necessary and good just as it exists on its own. And I think that that's what you have, that balance here. And I don't think, and to be honest, I don't think there should be a balance, to be honest. I don't think that private equity should ever come into some of these situations. But in a situation like this where you have to come up with the gap, my question is, what's the alternative? What's the alternative, and how do teams make these
we've also been begging for all of this to come under one roof because the NCAA hasn't done its job and God knows how long. And so with all of the issues and questions with NIL and the portal and who's eligible and who's not, and this double standard in so many different situations, if it's one group that's monitoring this entire, 70-team league or super conference, whatever you want to call it.
Commissioner or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I assume you'd have a leader, a Commissioner Sankey of whatever this could be. And to me, put all the patches on the jersey you want. If you get that in place and they do their job right, it makes the sport better.
No, I totally agree with that. The only problem I'm running into, and Kenton, I get what you're saying. My issue is that the reason why we're here is because of those exact people that you're talking about. The reason why all this realignment is happening is because of all of these commissioners of these conferences trying to find the way to make the most money to try to get some teams more competitive and some teams just, along for the ride. The beauty of college football is similar to baseball. With baseball, every baseball stadium is different because it has its own experience. That is kind of the key.
That's terrible.
That's a beautiful thing to me. But that's the tradition and sanctity of baseball. That's what makes it so much fun. Is everything's different. In college football, it's the same thing.
If Oklahoma went to a road game, Jay, and they had to run for 120 yards to score a touchdown.
Oh, that's terrible.
But inside the base is the exact same. That's all that matters. Right? But put it this way, Oklahoma goes on a road game. If I go play at Kansas, I'm sitting in front of 50,000 people, whereas the fans at Auburn are 87,000. The Cotton Bowl's 90,000, but it's split right in the middle. If I go up to the Big House, it's 106,000. That's where those differences come into play.
Wait, so you're equating capacity of a stadium to the size of the field?
Hello?
What?
Yes, I am right now, just because.
All right, Jay's already fired up. Let's jump into the Red River Rivalry because I've got a nice message for him that you're not going to want to miss. That's next on 3 Point Stance.
NFL fans, it's time for you to have some fun. Why? Because we've got games this weekend in college football. We got games in NFL. And the beauty of it is that you can start your season off with some big returns with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So if you're watching the games and you want to see some of the updates, latest stats, play-by-play, you can see all of that in the exact same spot where you're putting in your bets. Right now, you see Ohio State and Oregon, and we're going to talk about Red River in a moment. But those spreads are available. So if you want to go ahead and try to take advantage of that, you can start with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So head over to FanDuel.com and take advantage.
All right, the Red River Rivalry is this weekend. The first time these two teams play each other as members of the Southeastern Conference. And for folks who don't know, Jay Smith is one of the co-hosts of Locked On Sooners. And so we couldn't let him just have all of the conversation about this game. I want to play a quick message from our buddy, Jonathan Davis, the host of Locked On Longhorns.
Why do the Texas Longhorns beat the Oklahoma Sooners on Saturday? Oh, I guess I'm really supposed to answer that. I mean, just look at the rosters. Look at what we've seen through the first 5 weeks. Where is Oklahoma better than Texas in any facet? You look at the coaching matchup, Steve Sarkisian over Brent Venables. That's laughable. Quarterback position, a quarterback making his second ever start in Red River. Michael Hawkins. Is he Michael Vick? Is he even Jalen Milroe? Do we think he's just going to show up on Saturday and just magically fix all of the Sooners' offensive issues? That offensive line where they replaced their top 6 offensive linemen from last year, they've been absolutely abysmal. The running game, all of their injuries to their wide receivers, where the Texas offense is coming in with their full offensive arsenal. And then we talk about the defense, right? The Brent Venables defense. This is what they want to hang their hat on. The defense is going to make stops. The defense is going to keep them in the game. Oh, the 41st defense in the country, the 76th passing defense in the country, where Steve Sarkisian and his offense can throw the ball all over the yard. I mean, seriously, what is the path to the Sooners beating the Longhorns on Saturday that doesn't involve Sooner magic? What is Sooner magic? And last time I checked, Sooner magic doesn't lead to points on the field. I know this is the Red River Rivalry. They say throw out the rosters, throw out, everything that you've seen, because anything can happen in the Cotton Bowl on Saturday. But at some point, we have to apply logic. Texas is just way better than Oklahoma, and that's why they win on Saturday.
I think it's cute that that's what he wants to go with, right? So when you look at, actual efficiency, whenever you actually, scales things based upon the opponents or whatnot, Oklahoma is ranked number 9th in defense overall, but I digress on that. I totally understand it. He should feel cocky. They're the number 1 team in the country, and they haven't been anything in the last 20 years, right? They've had their one little year, 2 years. They made to the national championship game. They won one. That's cute. But we've been owning them since the 21st century, 17-11. Like, we've won 7 of the last 10 games. We've won 14 of the last 15. We whooped up on their tail, and it's okay. I'm not even gonna be mad because he's right. Oklahoma has to come in here with a lot of changes. We didn't walk in with 3 years of experience on the offensive side of the ball. Instead, we have 3 years of experience on the defensive side of the ball. We've actually played teams with pulses. They played against a Michigan team who now is ranked as like one of the worst passing defenses in the country. And they can't even throw the ball because they're one of the worst passing teams in the country. So yes, we have played teams with pulses in comparison to what Texas has done. But what we've got to do is we just got to walk in there and punch them in the mouth like we do every time. Last year, we were told the exact same thing. Oklahoma has 0 chance beating Texas. This is the best team that Steve Sarkisian and Texas has had since 2008. What happened? No, y'all tell me what happened. Texas lost.
Oklahoma won that game.
That's all that matters, right? Is that we went in there and we punched them in the mouth. But guess what they said after that game? Well, this is Oklahoma Super Bowl. This is the only game that Oklahoma wants. Please. Choose a side. Do you care about this game or not? If you don't care, don't say nothing. If you do care, then we're going to come in there and we're going to punch you in your mouth. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Throw out the records, because we've even seen Oklahoma teams that's gone to the college football playoff lose to an abysmal Texas team. It happens. That's the beauty of this rivalry. That's the beauty of this hate, is that it happens that way. If you want to find out when Texas actually has a winning record over Oklahoma, you got to go back to 1960. So when you get back there, we can start talking about things. But as of right now, it's going to be a dogfight. And I hope Texas is ready.
I'm so glad for the way that my co-host repudiated those allegations that were levied against Oklahoma. I'm so glad, because I don't know what beat start playing. I don't know if it was Hit 'em Up. I don't know if it was Ether. I don't know if it was No Vaseline, but he was talking crazy. He's
losing his mind. He's losing his mind. That's what I deal with.
Listen, he made it seem like there was a snowball's chance in hell that you were going to win this thing. He was sounding a lot like Bishop and Juice. Let's just be honest. He was staring at you in the elevator.
But this is the same thing I heard last year. This is what I heard last year. The exact same words. And then they're like, well, hey, we made the playoffs. So happy you finally was relevant for the first time in like 15 years. That is so cute. I'm happy for you. Finally, you're actually holding up your end of the bargain. We've been needing somebody else to show up in this rivalry. We kind of get tired of owning you constantly. Sometimes we want to feel like we're actually playing some competition. Please show up. Remember, Sarkisian's first year, they went up 28-7, and all you heard was the yapping. What happened in that game? Wasn't that
Caleb Williams game where he came in?
And that was a true freshman, right? So I'm not saying Michael Hawkins is Caleb Williams, but I'm going to tell you this. Texas ain't as prepared for this game as they claim they are. They're going to go out there as cocky as possible, because guess what they've got on the docket? They got Georgia next week. And guess who are they thinking about this week? They're thinking about Georgia. They don't care about us. A little old Oklahoma. I mean, they're a rival, but, we don't really care. We got Georgia coming into town. Great. Keep thinking about Georgia, because when we punch you in your mouth and you lose, then you can start worrying about running to play against Georgia.
Jay, I love you. I love you. There is no way Oklahoma wins this game on Saturday.
Okay.
0.
Wasn't there a 0 chance for Vanderbilt to beat Alabama last week?
Sure. If you
so
want
wait
to
a
say
minute.
those are the same thing, that's fine.
Can we make this interesting? Because Jay has successfully convinced me. He has talked me off the ledge.
How about that?
I believe that Oklahoma has a shot here, but I'm not willing to go as far as Jay. Can we make this interesting? What are y'all willing to put on this? What are y'all willing to put on it? Does the loser have to wear their rival's jersey on this show, perhaps? A rival's shirt on this show, perhaps?
I'll go for it.
I'll wear an Oklahoma shirt. I'm not wearing Alabama stuff.
That was about to say, if Texas wins, Jay got to wear some Texas stuff.
I'll wear a Texas shirt.
if Oklahoma wins, Zach, you got to wear that Roll Tide hat. You got to wear it. Not for the whole show, just for the intro. I know they kick you out of it all together, but just come on now, work with me.
I'm in.
Right.
Sign me up.
Oh,
For the
I'll take
two. For the sake of the
first
show,
3-point stance.
I'll do it.
We love it. We love it. We love it. So,
look,
so
my
just
whole
to be
thing.
Clear, Zach
screaming.
said no chance.
Yeah. I'm screaming hook 'em all weekend long,
and that's fine. I look. My only thing that I want to tell people to recognize in this, in all seriousness, is that you really have to throw conventional wisdom out of this game. There is always a chance. There's always a chance in this one because it's ridiculous. Heck, nobody believed in Sooner Magic when they went to the curses of Jordan and Sooner Magic showed up. It's one of those things.
Nobody believed in them. They were favored until like an hour before game time.
Well, exactly. Like my point.
What happened, Jay? What happened? This one of the best defenses in the SEC allowed 480 yards to an Auburn offense that can't find itself.
I don't know about not finding itself when the team averages 460 yards a game before that one.
Well, a lot of that has to do with what they did against Alabama A&M and New Mexico. But sure, I mean, if we want to talk up Auburn, I'm going to let you. I'm not going to stop you.
Hey, there's talent out there. It's just decisions that's made at the end of the game is usually what costs you every single game. It's not about overall talent. It's closing because coffee is for closers only.
Yeah,
y'all can't drink the coffee right now because you're not closing. But the thing is, y'all do everything up all the way up to the end. You can't lie.
There's like 10 coffee shops in downtown Auburn, but we can't close.
Fair point.
Figure that out. Is all the pressure on Lane Kiffin? Can he handle it? That's next on the 3-point stance.
You know, my wonderful, talented co-host with the beautiful locks, he got the best hair on the show, and Jay Smith was talking about capacity being the decider in these games and whatnot. And you know how to get to your games. You know how to get your stadium filled to capacity, get your team that edge through Game Time. Trust me, if you love going to these games, if you love supporting your Sooners, your Horns, your War Eagle, your Roll Tide, doesn't matter. What you can do is go to Game Time. Trust me, this is the place for you to be. And there's a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Which tickets to rent? Where are we going? Where we at? And trust me, this is a deal that you want to be a part of. All you got to do is pick an upcoming event on the app, browse through the seats on Game Time Picks, and talk about the great sights that you're going to see when you're there. There is no way that you lose with Game Time because at the end of the day, nobody else has all of the things that Game Time does, like the super deals, like the live view from your seats, and all that type of stuff. This is very, very simple to me. There is all-in pricing that when you toggle that, you're not surprised at the door by extra fees at the end. We know we're all tired of fees. A surcharge fee, a credit card fee, debit card fee, a fee, you didn't pay it the right way fee. We've got all of that priced in at Game Time. And with the lowest price guarantee, either you get the lowest price available, or if it becomes lower on Game Time, you are credited with 110% of the difference. They're not just making you whole, they throwing a little extra something on top of that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time!
Game time! All right, final few minutes here on this edition of the 3-point stance. Ole Miss heads to Baton Rouge to take on the LSU Tigers, number 9 versus number 13. The whole, I guess, argument against Lane Kiffin is he can't win this sort of game. Ole Miss was kind of labeled as a playoff lock going into the season. They stumble against Kentucky, and they obviously have other things they need to take care of. Going into the season, I thought this would be an easy win for Ole Miss, and I no longer think that because of the ramifications of what this game represents.
I'm sorry. Why is all the pressure on Lane Kiffin? Brian Kelly is Lane Kiffin with a fake Southern accent and players who can trip out. What are we doing here? What is happening that we believe like, hey, Lane Kiffin has all this pressure and he has to perform and he has to get it done. What the hell has Brian Kelly shown any of us in big games? That man needs rubber sheets whenever a big game comes up because we know he's wetting the bed. It's not a question of, oh, wow, will they or won't they? It's the question of, will the other team wet the bed worse? That's the only hope that you have for Brian Kelly in the big game, which we have seen time after time after time again. I don't, and I mean this very genuinely, I don't even know how he got this job based upon what he did at Notre Dame. I get it. The thought was, well, he just can't win the big games because Notre Dame has all these requirements and restrictions that are, I'm sorry to tell you, okay? And I get it. Baton Rouge, Louisiana is a lot more fun than South Bend. I'm sorry, Baton Rouge, Louisiana is a lot more fun than South Bend, Indiana. I get it. I'm mad at it. I've been a both. I would agree. But with that being said, as I said yesterday, you are who you are. Brian Kelly is who he is. Now, if Lane Kiffin loses this game, yes, that's a huge indictment on him because losing to Brian Kelly in the big game is preposterous. That's filth. That's dog water material. But we are always letting Brian Kelly off the hook for losing big games. And damn it, I'm tired of it. I will not let the big Brian Kelly lobby silence me. We need to get into his performance in big games.
I mean, I totally get that. At the same time, Lane Kiffin lost at home to Kentucky. Like, recently.
But that wasn't a big game. That wasn't.
It becomes a big game when you lose it, though.
It becomes a big game when you lose it, especially when you're expected to make the playoffs as a quote-unquote potential undefeated team. Like, based upon their schedule, they kind of had an easy walk going into potentially the playoffs. I mean, they've got Oklahoma, Georgia, LSU. That's it. And they were not supposed to stumble at the beginning of the season. They were supposed to walk into this game undefeated. LSU, the questions were, could they beat USC to start the year? And that was going to tell us everything about them. LSU has won every game since. Kind of like Elko is doing down there at Texas A&M. And so I agree with you. Brian Kelly hasn't done much besides playing in a national championship game. And we watch how Lane Kiffin has kind of burnt himself out at places and eventually loses jobs. Or, he goes to a job and then gets them in trouble and bounces within a season. I'm sorry, Tennessee, that happened to you. But we know that Lane Kiffin usually brings problems and drama. He's supposed to overcome that. That is what he's supposed to do here. That loss to Kentucky is a stain because it was at home. And it looked like a very undisciplined game by them. It looked like Kentucky just walked in there, said, you know what? I like those cookies. I like that milk. I'm going to go ahead and take that with me.
I find this crazy because, again, I don't know what Brian Kelly is paying y'all. I don't know what he's paying you people. I want to be a part of the lobby because
I'm not lobbying for him. I'm more so saying Lane needs the big win more than Brian Kelly because we've seen Brian Kelly go to a title game once.
But you just said it. You literally just said LSU season was early season. Was supposed to be about what game, Zach? What game did he say it was supposed to be about?
A ranked USC team.
USC. Okay, so we talked about them beating a good USC team. Are they undefeated by any chance? Is LSU undefeated?
No, they're not.
Who did they lose to?
USC. They lost to USC.
So they lost the only big game on their schedule so far. Boy, listen, Brian Kelly is a fraud. He is a fraudster. Okay? If you want a team that will win 10 games a year and that occasionally has a spike year where they could go to national championship, I'm not going to say that Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly are the exact same tier 1-1 in terms of coach, because I do think that Brian Kelly has an established factor of, hey, I do have a definite ceiling, but I don't come with as much of the trouble. I agree. But when we're talking about on-field performance in big games, Lane may be a little bit of a rascal. He may get you in some trouble. The NCAA may be breathing down your neck at some point in time. But Lane Kiffin has shown the propensity to win a game like this. His only problem is, can he keep his team's focus through the mundane? It's like a relationship. It's not just about the Valentine's Day where you do all of the decorating the room and all that. Sometimes you just got to be the man that does the honey-do list, and he struggles with the honey-do list. But when it comes to the IG captions, Lane Kiffin's got it. When it comes to the vacation to Cabo, Lane Kiffin's going to cook. Okay, he's going to cook. And so I believe he's going to cook the hell out the Tigers in this one.
Kitten, what game is it like Lane Kiffin won like this? Are you referring to a specific one?
Well, you know what? And that is fair. That is fair. That is fair.
Because on the flip, Brian Kelly beat Ole Miss and Alabama in back-to-back weeks his first year at LSU. He's giving us a glimpse.
Right. He's giving you a glimpse. And what's he done since then? Have y'all gotten any looks since that glimpse?
No, but he's done it more than Lane Kiffin has. I think
that's
because he's had better resources. He's had better resources. If you can argue that LSU and Ole Miss are on the same level in terms of resources, I would simply say, let's trade my paycheck with Jeff Bezos'. I mean, it's about the same level.
Hey, Hugh Freeze did it at Ole Miss, so obviously they've got resources.
There we go.
Hugh Freeze did it at Ole Miss, and where's he at now?
We're end it right there.
At Auburn.
Let's end it right there.
I'm just saying.
Thank you so much for making the 3-point stance your first listen every single day. For your second listen, go check out our guy Spencer McLaughlin on Locked On College Football. It's on this very audio feed or YouTube channel, however you're consuming our content. For Kitten Gibbs, Jay Smith, I'm Zach Blackerby. This has been the 3-point stance.